Hey, everybody. Welcome. It's Tuesday, October 17th. Busy day today. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. John Arvosis here with the Arvosis Report, coming to you live from Washington, D.C. Oh, it's been a little crazy today. I may or may not tell you. But anyway, I'm here now, here to talk about Ukraine and Israel because both have got news. Neither has enough news, to be honest, for a whole show. But there's enough to talk about both of them, so we will do that. Let me get TikTok rolling right now. I don't have the subject list up because we're doing both, so it still may be too many topics. Let me get my TikTok rolling here. Yep, hang on. Like I said, kind of a crazy day today. I fell earlier, which was a lot of fun. Some idiot construction people down the block had some huge thing on the sidewalk, well, huge and hidden, tripped over it, face planted, which I haven't done since I was a kid. Lots of bleeding involved. Lots of makeup on my chin right now because otherwise it would be disgusting. This big of a fucking, so I swore, sorry. This big of a freaking scrape on my face. I'm not happy. So anyway, I was dealing with that in the bathroom right before the show because it was showing again. And I was like, I cannot let this show on because it's disgusting. Trust me. So anyway, yes, I'm fine. Not very happy, but really pissed at those construction guys. I mean, it's just ridiculous what they had up. Ukraine war update. Let me gotta change the title. Anyway, so sorry. That was my last minute being late. I was looking in the mirror going, oh God, it's showing. And like I said, a little bit gross. Hang on a second here. And Ukraine war update. There we go. All right, going live. Oh no, it was horrible. This horrible big sign they've got up, but the sign was off the sidewalk. But the feet of the sign for construction are 3 feet long on the ground. So they were covering 2/3 of the sidewalk, but you can't see it because the sign's off the sidewalk. So if you're looking straight ahead, you trip. Oh no, it was face planting. I haven't face planted since I was a kid. Hey everybody, hey TikTokers. It was horrific. like anyway, not fun. Anyway, all right. Hey TikTokers, welcome guys. All right. Anyway, we're here. We're alive. You can't tell what's going on with my face, so I'm happy. What's going on, guys? Hello, TikTokers, YouTubers, Twitchers, everybody else. I'm getting some, thank you, Shane. I'm getting a little bit of fan going in my, here we go, a little fan going so I can be a little cooler tonight. Anyway, how's everybody? Hey, Munich. I'm okay after the fall, yes. I'm not very happy, but thank you, Elizabeth. I was just saying I was a little late tonight because I looked in the mirror and realized you could see I had put on makeup earlier so I could do the show because I fell today, scraped my face really bad on my chin. And thank you. Who's that? Joy and Jeremy. Thank you guys. So right before the show, I looked in the mirror and realized, oh my God, like you can see my chin, which looked disgusting. So I sat there trying to hide it for 5 minutes and I was late. So it was not fun. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, John. Anyway, what's going on, guys? What's going on? I mean, it's okay. It's just I've never scraped something since I was a kid, and scraping your face, like literally just falling, and it was a mess. Anyway, not fun. Anyway, hello all. Hello. Oh, hey. Oh, in Israel. Hey, Israel. Oh, where's everybody else from? Give a quick hello where you guys are from. Gaia. Hello, Gaia. Thank you for the gift. Who else is here? Yes, stop lying. Israel did my injury. That's who to blame. Hey, oh, thanks, Mustard. Hey, Ireland. Hello, Maryland. Poole, England. I've not heard of Poole, England. That's interesting. Huron, Michigan. Killucan? You guys have the funniest words in Ireland. Killucan, Ireland. All right. Thank you, Macabre and Lori for the hats. And who's this? Mustard. Thank you, guys. Mustard again. I was late. I'm here now. Glasgow. Very nice. Elizabeth. Thank you. Kim. I know I'm dying to go up to Glasgow at some point. I've been to Edinburgh, but not further north. Hey, Norway. Ellie. Thank you. But I want to go where the accents are in Scotland. Thank you, Alex, as well. But yeah, I want to go where the accents are. Finland. Oh, that's nice. I don't know that we get a lot of Finns here. Good to see you, Peter. Thank you, Eva, for the fall colors. Lovely. Yeah, no, I always get a kick out of how many of you guys Europeans show up. The washer and dryer showed up. I was very excited. This weekend, Sweden. Hey, Thomas. I was waiting for washer and dryer to show up. It finally showed up, so I was very happy. It was after several false alarms. but it finally showed. It was my first. Actually, you Europeans will not appreciate this. Thank you, TikTok. Or who was that? Who was that with the TikTok live? I'm saying TikTok. Thank you for the TikTok live gift. Americans, a lot of us don't have. We have top washers, the top thing. This was my first front loading washer thing, and it's very interesting because you can finally wash pillows. I mean, this is like, and dog beds. This is like an epiphany. I mean, it's amazing. Thank you, Marcy. Adventures. I was so excited. Anyway, all right. Yeah, we're just waiting a minute for folks to join us. Now that people are here, we can get started. Thank you, Mark. But I do leave. Oh, I leave the door open. Trust me. One of my neighbors has got the smelly front washer thing. I leave the door open for a day, etc. But I could wash my dog bed and wash my pillows. I was so excited. So excited. I mean, I've had a front loader all these years, all the things you can't do. Any case, so we were having our little small talk here, guys, as an intro. I always like to wait a couple minutes, although now we can start for folks to show up. And now that folks are show up, we can begin. So welcome, guys. I am John Aravosis. I do wipe the inside door every time. Don't worry. Thank you, Chris, for the gift. This is my show, The Aravosis Report. Thank you, Raghu. I do it Monday to Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern time, U.S. Thank you, Dumbledore. And usually it's about Ukraine. But with the war going on with Israel and Gaza and everything, thank you, Annie, for the super sticker. Very nice of you. I've been covering Israel as well. Sorry, I know I shouldn't be going fast. Mike, it's hard. I talk fast anyway. I didn't even have caffeine this afternoon. I talk fast, and it's hard. You know what it was? I was a couple minutes late, and I was like hurrying to get the show started, and I think it got my adrenaline going. So now I'm in like fast mode. I will try to not do fast mode because all right, let's relax. That is the way I speak, and it's very difficult to slow down. So hello, Noah. So anyway, yes, so we're going to be covering Ukraine and Israel. Normally, I do just Ukraine, but with the Israel-Gaza situation, you know, it's important news. I think it's important to talk about it. And it has repercussions for Israel, for Ukraine, great powers, America, Russia, all of that. I think actually I'm going to start with Israel because I've got more Ukraine news tonight. So let me start with Israel, and then we're going to jump to Ukraine. So the big news today is, and I'm going to do what I normally do. Thank you, Big John, which is give you a reasonable analysis. Somebody's rocket or missile hit a Palestinian hospital in Gaza this afternoon. Several hundred people were reportedly killed. We don't know who did it. Of course, Hamas is saying it was the Israelis. The Israelis say it was Hamas. The independent folks that are looking at it, who I follow, are now saying it's looking increasingly like Islamic Jihad did it, to be honest. Actually, a couple different things. The Israeli government came out with their explanation. Thank you, Chris. But I will say, in all fairness, look, Israel and the Hamas are at war. I'm not going to take at face value what Israel says. I really don't believe what Hamas says. They're a terrorist group. But I'm not going to take at face value what Israel says, right? It's fair enough to kind of, right, look at both. And I will say this, that interestingly enough, an independent guy, Oliver Alexander, who I really like, who's a OSINT investigator, basically independent sort of intelligence analyst in a way, very interesting guy. He was, who I really like, very smart guy. Thank you, Vicky. I actually follow him for a lot of stuff on Ukraine, actually. Thank you, boy, mom. And what Oliver found was the latest videos coming out. There's some earlier videos. First of all, they're fake. They're from different wars. They're not from this. That's the first warning I'll give you guys. When you see things flying around social media, don't believe they're what they say they are. I saw videos today that were supposedly dead baby or dead children in Gaza. They were actually dead children in Syria. Somebody found the video from Syria and, I mean, showed us it was from Syria. There was a video of Israel dropping white phosphorus on Gaza. It was actually a video from Donbass, from Ukraine in the very beginning of the war when Russia was dropping it. So my point is not that all the videos are fake, but if you see it on social media and you don't see it on a big media, be careful. I would say give it a grain of salt, at least until bigger media is sort of paying attention, right? On this one, what the independent investigators found. Now, again, we're still waiting to find out. But what the independent guys are starting to see is it looks like Hamas did shoot a missile at Israel. It took a path over the hospital. Israel intercepted the rocket near, or the missile, whatever, near the hospital, the rocket near the hospital. Both of them pulverized, and in principle, that couldn't have caused the amount of damage that was caused at the hospital. 20 seconds later, there was a launch nearby that looks like it may have been Islamic Jihad, which is another terrorist group that is also sadly in Gaza. Gaza, unfortunately, has its share of terrorist groups, which is really unfortunate for the Palestinians. Thank you, Sean and Daddy Money. The second rocket, there was sort of an explosion as it took off, and shortly after, an explosion at the hospital. We don't know yet. It looks like this could have been a rocket from Islamic Jihad that misfired and basically came out and came down. The point here is we don't know. We don't know. That's ridiculous. Again, any of the folks, I will tell you right now on TikTok, feel free to look at the comments on TikTok. Thank you, Chief. The people who are saying it can't be true, right? It's not true. It's Israel. Unless you've got proof, don't believe it. Thank you, Robert. Currently, the evidence suggests it might be Islamic Jihad. We don't know. Let's wait and see. But the idea of picking which side did it when we don't know is BS. It's absolute BS. And again, anybody who watches my show knows I'm a lawyer too. I'm a big believer in facts. Thank you, lizard person. I'm a big believer in facts, and I'm not a big believer in conspiracy theories. Secondly, what's happening as a result, which is really unfortunate, is now the meeting Biden was going to have with the other heads of state is pretty much called off tomorrow. First, we had Mohammed Abbas, who's the Palestinian president, who refused to meet with Biden. Thank you, Milan, as a result of the hospital bombing. Now, mind you, we still don't know if Israel did it, since the evidence is starting to suggest that it might have been Islamic Jihad, a Islamic terrorist group that did it. But Abbas decided he wasn't going to meet with Biden as a result. Really stupid. Really, really, really stupid. Even if Israel had done it, right, you still meet with the president of the United States. President of the United States is the guy, thank you, Elizabeth, he's the only guy that can help the Palestinians at this point. He's the only guy with influence with Israel. Nobody's got influence with Israel like America, right? I mean, no matter where you are on the conflict, there's no way anybody's going to disagree with me on this point. America, Israel's top friend. America, Israel's top provider of weapons, of aid, of money. And America is the country that's going to be there supporting Israel if the war gets worse. We all know this. America is the only country that has any sway at all with Israel. The head of the Palestinians, the Palestinian president, absolutely, positively should be meeting with the American president. And if he feels he's got to chew out Biden because of what the Israelis are doing, then do it. That's fine. But you do not cancel with the American president when that is the best chance for peace, not just in this conflict, but long-term that you've got. Well, he cancels, which again, idiotic. And now King Abdullah of Jordan just canceled the entire conference. The conference was going to be, I say conference, but summit was going to be Biden, Abbas, who's the head of the Palestinian Authority, Sisi of Egypt, and Abdullah of Jordan, I think were the main people. Abdullah, I went to graduate school with Abdullah, actually. I did not know him. He was in one of my small classes at one point, like 20, 25 of us. But I did not know him. Other of my friends did. Very smart guy, very interesting guy. My graduate school I did at Georgetown. And Abdullah knows politics, educated in the West, knows, I think he might have gone to England for undergraduate, I think. Smart guy. The fact that Abdullah canceled the conference tomorrow, to me, means political pressure. That's what that's about. It's political pressure at this point. And it's unfortunate because basically at the same time, hundreds of protesters descended on the Israeli embassy in Jordan today as well. And what do you know, right? That, and the police were able to stop it, or the military that protects the embassies were able to stop it. But I think Abdullah is spooked. Abdullah thinks politically there's nothing he can do. He's got to basically call off the meeting because of this thing with the hospital today. Because, and frankly, honestly, folks, you guys on YouTube and et cetera won't see it. Just look at the comments on TikTok. You'll see what I mean. The vitriol of people who don't care what the facts may say, but who simply want to attack is there for everybody to see. And this is what Abbas is dealing with, unfortunately, as a Palestinian leader. And it's what Abdullah is dealing with as king to Jordan. And it's really sad. It's really sad because it is hugely important for these guys to have this summit. It is hugely important for the Palestinian leader to be able to meet with the American president, to develop more of a relationship there. It's just a huge mistake. And I will say this too, any of you who have watched my show, in the past, especially in the last week, this is exactly what I talk about. Remember how I talked about with this issue? Actually, today in the hospital is a perfect example. Remember how I said with this issue, thank you, Noah, and I was talking more generally the Arab-Israeli conflict, or whatever you want to call it, how it's much more complicated than people tell you, and it's much grayer. I remember I specifically said gray. It is much grayer than people tell you. People will always be able to tell you who's to blame, and it is always going to be more complicated. And this thing with the hospital, thank you, Charles, is a perfect example of that, right? Where we don't even know yet what happened. And all the, Israel is saying it's one guy. Hamas is saying it's the Israelis. Thank you, Dumbledore. All of the Palestinian supporters don't want to wait for the facts. They're convinced it's Israel. And frankly, the Israeli supporters are convinced that it's Hamas. And I'm not convinced it's Hamas yet, or Islamic Jihad, I should say. I'm not convinced yet. There's some evidence coming out, but I'm not convinced yet. But this is a perfect example of what I talk about, where everything is so messy with this stupid issue. Everyone is so angry and perpetually angry that nobody can see the facts. Nobody can wait to see the evidence. They just want to be, everybody wants to be perpetually pissed off. Thank you, Arifa. And I mean, literally, since I've been studying this stuff since the 1980s, it has been this way, and it's just ridiculous. In any case, I just think it's very sad. So this sucks that they're not having the meeting with Biden tomorrow. The problem is they're hurting themselves, right? It doesn't hurt Biden. Biden gets to go. I got news this is the other issue too. This is where I'm saying it's politically so stupid. Biden doesn't get much out of meeting with the Palestinian president. He really doesn't. The constituency back home is this big. Biden wins by meeting with Netanyahu tomorrow. By going to Israel, which he's doing, thank you, Pedro, and meeting with Netanyahu and standing by his side, Biden wins humongously in terms of American public opinion. That's all Biden needs. Meeting with everybody else was Biden being a good guy and trying to help. Biden gets nothing. Meeting with the Arabs and meeting with the Palestinians, nothing out of that back home. Not with any constituency that matters, really. But meeting with the Israelis, absolutely. It just pisses me off because it's a perfect example of just shooting themselves in the foot by not meeting with Biden. Thank you, Lamb Chop and Christy. Again, I get why Abdullah did it, because at this point, King Abdullah doesn't have a choice, right? People are pissed. People think Israel did it. The sort of noise machines, thank you, Zvika, is out of control now, blaming Israel, and we don't know. But in any case, it's too bad. Six Evo had a question. Thank you for the super chat, Six Evo. With the Hamas war seeming to be escalating, do you see a chance that war can spread to U.S. soil? I mean, and a draft occurring? No, there will be no draft. No, there will be no draft. U.S. soil, like European soil, is a matter of terrorism. Thank you, Adam. There's always a possibility of terrorism. Sure. I mean, that's always a possibility, So, I mean, yeah. But beyond that, no, we're not doing a draft. We don't need a draft anyway. But no. I know you're trying to scare yourself. I'm not going to let you. But thank you for that. Thank you, LWD. What else we got here? Yeah, Hezbollah, lovely. Hezbollah, which is the group in southern Lebanon that's also a terrorist group that may or may not get involved. But if they get involved, it actually isn't great, because if they get involved, they've got a lot of men, they've got a lot of firepower, and it's going to just make things messier. Hezbollah has announced tomorrow as a day of unprecedented anger against Israel and Joe Biden's visit. A quick update on I think this is all I've got. This is all I've got on Israel. Quick update on the terrorist attack in Belgium yesterday. There, as you guys recall, when we were doing the show right before, a guy had opened fire outside a soccer match, a football match of I guess, who was, did I say Belgium? So it must have been the Swedes versus the Belgians. And he killed two people, ended up killing two Swedes. The police ended up finding him the next morning, killing him in a shootout. In a video, this is what I was going to say. In a video posted on social media, a man identifying himself as the gunman, again, we got to see, maybe it's him, maybe it's not. They're being careful. Claimed to be inspired by the Islamic State, a spokesperson for Belgium's federal prosecutor office said, adding the Swedish nationality of the victims was mentioned as a probable motive for the attack. So to me, what that sounds like if this video is real, okay, if this video actually is from the guy, and we're still trying to see if it is, this sounds like all the BS with the far right in Sweden, which actually the guy I think was from a neighboring country anyway, that was burning the Koran in Stockholm in order to try to piss off Turkey and all of that. Remember? That's what I think is going on with this. This sounds like it's retaliation for that, which is really just screwed up. In any case. All right, that's all I've got about Israel. We're going to do our regular Ukraine update, and then afterwards we're going to do our Q&A. Remember, guys, you can post questions afterwards. You can also post super chat questions now, which 6Evo just did. Very well, thank you. And super stickers, Annie. And thank you, Ben, for the gifts. Also the gifts on TikTok. I will always do a shout out. Thank you, Kankaranga. When I see the gifts that pop up on the screen, I'm pretty good at it. I mean, sometimes I miss it, so I apologize for that, but pretty good at it. So please do keep those guys going, because you remember I do this for a living and I do it full time. So you are literally making it possible for me to do these broadcasts by doing these gifts with the gifts on TikTok and the gifts on YouTube, etc. So please do keep them coming. All right, Ukraine. It is day 601 of Vladimir Putin's special 3-day military operation. Big news today, thank you, Dorothy and Magical, is Ukraine finally got the ATACMS missile. Thank you, Marcy. We now know that Ukraine secretly got a small number of U.S. ATACMS missiles. These are missiles that can be fired from the HIMARS system or the MLRS system. Basically, HIMARS, you might recall, is kind of a mobile launcher. So basically, the launcher for these missiles, or rockets, whatever you want to call them, are on a truck bed in essence. So they can pull up, aim, shoot, and then drive away quickly, which makes them harder for the Russians to hit, right? Because they're able to drive away before the Russians are able to figure out exactly where they came from. Now, Ukraine got the ATACMS that they've been wanting for a long time. The Biden administration sent the shorter range ATACMS, not the longer ones that Ukraine wanted. Ukraine wanted the ones that go around 190 miles, which would have been around 300 kilometers. They got the ones that go about 100 miles. So I think I wrote it down, 160 kilometers, maybe something like that. Unfortunately, because they should have given them the longer ones. Thank you, Kathy. I don't know if you meant that as a question. If you did, feel free to just post the question. Otherwise, thank you. But in any case, Ukraine got the ATACMS. They got the short range ones. Really good news. They used it to blow up several Russian air bases in southeastern and eastern Ukraine. Let me show you really quick on my map. Down here in Berdyansk, right along the sea, and then Luhansk all the way over here. Both of these occupied by the Russians, caused big damage. I mean, big damage, which is great. Let me tell you this really quick. The strikes destroyed 9 helicopters, an air defense system, an ammunition warehouse, other airfield infrastructure. Dozens of Russian soldiers were either killed or wounded. This was a big deal. What's interesting about it as well is it's everything people had been saying it is, right? The whole issue here was Ukraine's advocates saying this is a huge deal. This is going to be a game changer. It's not going to win the war for Ukraine, but it's going to single-handedly, but it's going to make a big difference. Well, Ukraine proved it with one attack, or 2 attacks, really, right? Or going after both provinces. They caused massive damage to the Russians. Clearly, the most damage since the war started for the Russian Air Force. Some estimates I saw said this could be the biggest one-day loss for the Russian Air Force overall, which would be pretty funny. This is a big deal. Also, actually, Kilo 19 says it also proves their air defense system can't shoot it down. That's an excellent point. This was great news on every level. Quick sip of water. There was an article in Politico today. I may not go through the whole thing. There's an article in Politico that I did a video on TikTok about. Thank you, Ellie, for the hearts there. Kind of the Biden administration trying to make excuses for itself, which annoys me a little. And it's all about how basically claiming that Jake Sullivan, the national security advisor, really wanted Ukraine to get these. It was the Pentagon that didn't want it. Except the way the article spells it is in July. I'm just going to paraphrase. In July, the Pentagon was getting, or not the Pentagon. In July, the White House was getting worried. Oh, thank you, EB. I thought you had a question. You're making me laugh. I had it up there so I wouldn't forget. Thank you, Jetta, so that I wouldn't forget the question. And now I'm finally reading it. It was just a very nice comment. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Thank you. So the Oh yeah, so the White House. Okay, so Jake Sullivan, National Security Advisor. The articles. I'm going to read this to you. I'm not even going to paraphrase this. Let me read, because this, to me, this is the stuff that drives me crazy. Which you can tell they're basically lying. There's as to why they waited so long to give these to Ukraine. Listen to this, okay? The decision. This is from Politico. The decision to send ATACMS now comes as the administration has grown concerned about a Russian buildup of troops and equipment for a fall offensive. It was mid-July, and National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan was worried. I mean, even the way it's written, you can tell the White House spoon-fed it to them. Ukrainian forces were struggling to penetrate Russian front lines in a slow-moving counteroffensive, and time was running out to retake significant territory before a renewed Russian offensive in the fall. Sullivan told his team to come up with options for additional weapons the U.S. could send Ukraine. Okay, first of all, it took this guy until July to say, you know what? Are there any other weapons we could send you? I mean, the White House until July, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, did not sit there and think, are there other weapons we could send Ukraine? Oh, no. It took until July for them to say, is there anything else we could send them that we're missing? And they said, oh my God, ATACMS. Okay, I mean, it's BS. It's just absolute BS that's what happened. I literally just don't believe this. It goes on. Working together with the Defense Department, the National Security Council team came up with an idea. Again, this is total spin from the White House National Security Council team. While the U.S.'s military's existing stocks of the long-range ATACMS missiles were in short supply, the U.S. could send the medium-range version, right, that can only go 100 miles. So people have been pushing for ATACMS for like a year now, okay? It took the White House until last month for someone to have an epiphany and say, oh, wait, I've got an idea. There's two kinds of ATACMS. If we don't have enough of the long-range ones, we can send them the shorter-range ones. No one thought of that until now. Now, mind you, everybody out there who's an expert who has been saying that these weapons need to go to Ukraine has been saying there's multiple distances they can go. Just like the cruise missiles can go different distances depending what you send them, right? Everybody knew this. I'm sorry, it's driving me insane. But the White House is pretending like, oh, this thing no one talked about called ATACMS. We said, let's send those. It's just, they're lying, guys. I mean, the whole thing is, and frankly, even the excuse for not sending the longer range ones that Ukraine wants, which would make a big difference if they could go farther. The idea that, well, we may not have enough basically for Taiwan is what they're saying, right? Well, if that's the case, thank you, Dave, then why did they keep giving different answers for it, right? Why did they keep giving different explanations? I'm not understanding this. Like, right? They said initially the White House was saying, well, we can't give Ukraine weapons that go 200 miles because Putin would see that as an escalation and he'd do something. Then they said, we can't give Ukraine weapons that go 200 miles because they would hit Russia and we don't trust Ukraine not to attack Russia, right? Well, then Ukraine gets the cruise missiles from the Brits and the French that can go pretty much just as far. And all of a sudden, it disproved the notion that A, Russia would go nuclear, and B, that the Ukrainians, thank you, Aiden, that the Ukrainians would abuse the weapons by attacking Russia, even though we told them not to, because they didn't when the Brits and the French gave them weapons, right? They didn't attack, and it didn't cause Putin to go nuclear. So they lost their justification. So now the White House is saying, we don't have enough of them. I don't believe them. I mean, literally, if this was the only excuse they gave from the beginning, I would believe them. Thank you, Adam. That literally we don't have enough. But because this is the third and ever-changing excuse they're giving, I feel like we're dealing with a child where they give one excuse. It's like, no, oh, okay, how about this? No, okay, how about this? It just feels like a lie to me. So anyway, in any case, I'm glad they've got the weapons. They don't have enough. They've got a small number, and they don't go far enough. They go okay. I mean, they're certainly helping the Ukrainians. Going farther would go much better, but whatever. Abrams tanks, good news here. All the U.S. Abrams tanks have now arrived. According to the Pentagon, I think today, all the U.S. Abrams tanks, which are the tanks we were sending, all 31 of them have now arrived in Ukraine. That's great news. How the Ukrainians are going to use them, God only knows, you know what I mean, in terms of the specific battle plans, but it's good that they're there, so that's good. little bit more. Biden said, or Blinken, U.S. Secretary of State, says Biden is going to ask Congress for upwards of $2 billion in additional aid for Israel and Ukraine. I will say that's not a lot of money. It's probably not a lot of money for Israel, and it's certainly not a lot of money for Ukraine. We know this, right? I mean, they're going to need $1 billion is enough for 3 weeks, maybe. I mean, it's not enough. It's not enough. It's just not enough. But that's fine. So this is basically to get us over the next month or so, I'm going to guess. Cable. So Russia, it appears, is still screwing around with Estonia. Remember previously we talked about how, where's my little European map? 1 second here. We had talked previously about how a couple days ago, someone, read probably Russia. All right, thank you, EB. I'm going to get that off. Someone, probably the Russians, attacked a cable. What kind of, I'm forgetting what the cable was. Natural gas, I think, connecting Finland to Estonia. Well, now someone went and attacked a data cable in a similar manner, connecting Estonia to Sweden. Isn't that interesting? Common denominator, Estonia, which has also been getting, I think, was it in Estonia? Was it not? It was Estonia, we said, that's also been getting tons of, I mean, like over 1,000 bomb threats to public buildings, schools, and everything else in the last week. Someone is pissed at Estonia. Hint, hint, Russia. Also, nice way to go after Sweden. Nice way to go after Finland. What is happening here, and I read an analysis of it today, which is pretty much what I told you guys. It was Estonia. Okay, thank you, Martusha. It's analysis that was pretty much what I told you guys, that this is Putin's way of attacking, but not attacking, right? By going after the cables or the pipelines, it's not, we all know it was Putin, basically, but it's not clear it was Putin, right? We don't have proof it was Putin. Therefore, that's the first problem. So how do you respond when there's a little bit of doubt in your mind? When there's a little bit of doubt in your mind, how do you respond how do you respond to Putin when, 5% of your brain goes, well, it's a 5% chance that it is, or maybe even 10% that it's not Putin, right? Secondly, even if we know it's the Russians, do you really, do you drop a nuke on Moscow in response to them damaging a data cable? No, right? Do you declare war in response to them mucking with a gas pipeline? No, right? So it's this, I mean, actually, Wild Hunt is saying Russian passive aggression. It is in some ways. It's a very, what's the word, Callum? I mean, Callum, it's attacking without attacking. I forget, what's it called in military terms? What do you call this? I'm forgetting. But there's a military term. It's sort of this, whether is it hybrid warfare? What would you call it? This sort of half step or gray step. I keep using the word gray, but it's kind of relevant in this case, where it's this cloudy, murky in-between step that you do. Hybrid warfare, Shade's saying, yeah, where it's this in-between step that isn't a declaration of war, but it's not peace, right? It's just classic Russian. It's classic Russian. So yeah, they're mucking around. They're trying to freak out. I'm not sure what they're really up to. I'm not sure why they're doing it. I think it's the hybrid warfare, actually. But I'm not sure why they're doing it. Like, what do they think? Is it going to stop Sweden from wanting to join NATO? No. Right? Estonia is a member of NATO, right? I just don't. It's very childish. Not hybrid warfare. Okay. It's just very childish, though. You know what I mean? I just don't really get it as far as what. I mean, I really don't. I don't get a logical reason that Russia's like, hey, this could really help us. I mean, I'm sure they've got one, but it does feel like a temper tantrum. Yeah, infected Wi-Fi is saying temper tantrum. It feels like a temper tantrum to me. Yeah, but I don't get it. I don't think it's a proxy war either, though, because there's no proxy. It's the Russians. It's no proxy. It's the Russians doing it. But why? It's fear-mongering. I guess it's fear-mongering, but anyway, it's very weird. I don't really get it. In any case, a couple other stories. Lithuania is going to be repairing Leopard tanks damaged in Ukraine. Thank you, Lithuania. Russia officially revoked its ratification of the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty. European Parliament voted to support Ukraine with $53 billion financing. Thank you, Addie New, for Ukraine's recovery, which is excellent. And finally, Putin is in Beijing today in China, meeting with, of course, the Chinese leader. Orban himself is meeting with them as well, which is sad. He met with Putin. sucked up to Putin, made some comments about how it was crucial for sanctions on Russia. And the fight, how it's crucial for the sanctions on Russia to end, of course. Big surprise. Thank you, Courtney. Orban is the Hungarian leader who's basically in bed with Putin. Thank you, Ms. Martikar. The sanctions need to end on Russia. The war needs to end. And the flow of refugees needs to come to a halt. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, that's what I've got for the news. I will show you guys again a few of our auction items. We've got really cool stuff from Ukraine that we're auctioning over at my Discord community, discord.aravosis.com. 50% of the auction proceeds go to Ukraine. 50% support me because I do this full time. So quite literally, this is my job. Thank you, Nicola. So it helps me pay the bills so I can keep doing this. Just a few of the cool things that we've got. I think I showed you guys this before. Very nice. Oh, thank you, Dawn. And Dawn and Nicola. Very cool traditional Ukrainian painted Christmas ornament. I think it's the Petrokivka style. I like this one in particular because it's very nicely done. I mean, the artist is really good at what she does. So that one's neat. Very cool Ukrainian cookbook. Actually, this kind of stuff I like. People love this kind of stuff. Ukrainian military patch with the trident, which is very nice. People love this. One of my personal favorites, because I love the airplane parts. This is from a Russian Su-34 fighter jet shot down over Ukraine. This is the back. This is the front. So this is the outside of the plane. This is the inside of the plane. And we know which fighter jet it was. This is from the RF 9381724 red. So the neat thing about this is we know it was shot down over Chernihiv in northern Ukraine. We know it was shot down around March 2nd. There's video of the plane coming down after it was shot. There's pictures of the pilot after he was caught. It's really cool. I mean, I love that we've got sort of the provenance of the whole thing. And it's a piece of a Russian plane that was shot down over Ukraine, which I personally love this. To me, this stuff, I like sort of stuff you can touch, the pieces of history, you know? Anyway, very cool. And I think the last thing I'll show you, is a piece of a real Ukrainian camouflage net, a military camouflage net. These are these camouflage nets that we've been raising money for in Ukraine. And some charities we've been working with, have put together looms and volunteers that are making the nets. Ukrainian military specifically requisitions this stuff and they build it. Well, we've been raising money to help buy the actual material that goes into the camouflage net. And the folks who make the net very kindly made us several nets as well that I could auction. So these are real Ukrainian military nets. This one's smaller because the real ones, I kid you not, are about 27 feet by 15 feet. They're a little too big. This one is more like 9 feet by 2 feet. Or 8. This one's actually like 8 feet by 2 feet, which is almost 3 meters by 2/3 of a meter for you Europeans out there. But it's really neat. I'm forgetting if this is fall. I think this might be fall colors. I think it is because it's meant to be sort of the leaves turning with some of the grass underneath. Very cool. So anyway, this is up. Of course, it smells like Ukraine. Everything that I get from Ukraine smells like Ukraine. It's hard to explain, or it smells like the International Postal Service. I don't know which. But anyway, very cool. So go check it out. As I said, we've got a lot of cool stuff for auction over at our Discord, discord.aravosis.com. Final point, the VIP auctions are for the monthly subscribers, the folks who give me monthly contributions on, thank you, Alex, on YouTube, Twitch, Ko-fi, and TikTok isn't connected yet, unfortunately, TikTok's fault. But YouTube, Ko-fi, Twitch, and Discord. Discord does as well. Thank you for the kettle there. I appreciate it. And Timothy as well. And Joe. So check it out, guys. But yeah, like I said, half the auction money goes over to the Ukrainians. We give it back to them for their humanitarian work, but also the military stuff. And half of it goes to support my work so I can keep doing this because I do it full time. This is a nice sky. We're getting nice sort of fall skies. It almost looks fake, doesn't it? It's kind of a pretty, I like that it's kind of the way it looks. Thank you, Eddie. I do. As you guys know, I love sunsets. Even though it's not a sunset, it almost looks like a fake painted sky or something like in a news show, you know? Thank you, Chazak. It doesn't look fake. It totally it's the sunset. Anyway, all right, guys. So let's do Q&A. Thank you, MC. Questions on Ukraine, Israel, comments, etc. Jump right in. Just be nice. That's all I ask. Just be nice. But do you know who bought the hospital? No, I know it was like some was it Baptist or something, or some, it was some other Christian hospital, I think. I seem to remember the name of it or something. Because you go, the difference between the Palestinian Authority and Hamas, I mean, totally different. Palestinian Authority is like the Palestinian leadership. Hamas is a terrorist group. Palestinian Authority is, I don't want to sort of get this wrong, but like the political arm of what was the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, many years ago, who were the terrorists basically fighting on behalf of the Palestinians. Palestinian Authority is sort of their, their political arm when the PLO kind of went mainstream and the Palestinian Authority was as well. So it's not a terrorist group. It's the, I mean, as Callum said, legitimate government versus, well, the only reason I'm hedging, Callum, thank you for the cauldron there, by the way. Callum was saying legitimate government versus terrorist group. The only problem is the Hamas, thank you, Alex, did get elected, right? They're the government. The problem is then they stopped having elections. Thank you, Steve. And second problem, they're terrorists. Oh, that's really nice, Steve. Thank you for that. I can always tell when the gifts linger that they're really nice gifts. Thank you for that. So it's a little more complicated in terms of what Hamas is, but it is you almost could argue, except even this is complicated. You almost could argue they're two different groups. I mean, I am going to argue this. They're two different groups that want to run the Palestinian state, the Palestinian territories, whatever you want to call them. But one group is a political organization, the Palestinian Authority. The other group is a terrorist organization. That's the difference. And they both want to run things in the areas. So there you go. Thank you, Yangoism. Not a question. Just wanted to say thanks for all the info. Sasha's well. She's got her treats. Thank you. She's actually right now, I think she's sleeping on my couch. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. What are the possible outcomes for this war in the Middle East? I mean, that's almost too broad of a question. You know what I mean? Because Israel losing, I don't see, because the Americans are going to jump in and help the Israelis as far as that goes. But I mean, outcome is really tough too, because it depends which way it goes. I mean, what I worry about to some degree, thank you, Lima Mike. What I worry about is I worry it's going to be the typical outcome. Okay. Massive war. Hezbollah gets involved in Lebanon. Israel's forced to fight in Lebanon. They're forced to fight in Gaza. Iran starts mucking around. Lots of bombs flying around. Lots of civilians getting killed in Israel and amongst the Palestinians, but also in Lebanon too now, because Hezbollah is hiding in Lebanon, not even hiding, but they're in Lebanon. So those civilians will get killed there if Israel tries to hit back at Hezbollah. And even worse, in the end, Israel ends up occupying more territory. I mean, by the way, you may be getting a lesson in why Israel occupies territories, because people have asked that before and said Israel should just leave. Why are they occupying all these territories? Israel may end up occupying more territory as a result of this war because they figure there's nothing they can do otherwise. Now, meaning there's terrorists running it. What do? The problem is occupying a territory and trying to run it. Good luck. Not fun, not easy. And it can breed more terror because the people hate you and the conditions are terrible. What I worry is the conflict is going to continue, and it's going to be worse than ever because lots of civilians on all sides are going to die, and Israel may end up occupying more territory. It's just going to be. Thank you, Brulford. I don't necessarily blame them for it. Oh, trust me, Ketty. I mean, look, Hamas, and this is a popular or unpopular view depending where you are. Thank you, Magical. Hamas started this latest battle hoping Israel would strike back and kill a lot of Palestinian civilians. That's what Hamas wanted. They wanted to spoil Israel's relations with the other countries that it started to normalize with. Next up was going to be Saudi Arabia, and they really wanted to spoil that. And they are, by the way, look at this. Look what they did. They were able to kill the meeting tomorrow, frankly. They wanted lots of Palestinian civilians dead because they use Palestinian civilians as human shields. They are based in a Palestinian territory. They run Gaza. They're the government of Gaza, right? They hide amongst the civilians. They've got bomb shelters for Hamas and no bomb shelters for the civilians. Tunnels for Hamas to hide in, not for the civilians. They wanted Palestinians to die. And guess what? Palestinians are dying. And in the end, the kind of attack they did on Israel, Israel had no choice but to respond. And again, I don't care who disagrees with me. There's no possible way to disagree on this point. If your country was attacked the way Israel was last week, you would attack Hamas and take them out, no matter that they're in a civilian area. You would have no choice but to take them out, which means you'd kill civilians and you would get blamed for killing civilians. And that's what Hamas wanted, exactly what's happening right now. Israel had no choice but to respond. And there was no other possibility than for civilians to be killed, because civilians will get killed if you respond and try to take out Hamas. That's what Hamas wanted. And I did a video on this before and told folks, no matter where you are on this issue, ask yourself, if you ran a government that was attacked the way Israel was last week, what would you do? What would you do? You wouldn't respond, right? Of course you'd respond. You'd go and you'd take out Hamas. You would. It's a trap. Yeah, I mean, Jens is saying it's a trap. It was a trap, but it's a trap that was a brilliant trap, because what do? You know, if you suffer this kind of terrorist attack in a democracy, especially, you better respond. You don't have a choice. And that's what Hamas is getting exactly what it wanted. So it's terrible, and it's why I think it's going to be decades of occupation. Okay, what about decades of terrorism? That's the point. What about decades of war? Right? A lot of the occupations, a lot of them happened because the Arabs invaded Israel, right? Why? How did Israel get all the land it's got? Because the Arabs invaded. I mean, like that people, let's not forget that, you know? This is why I'm saying, like, people want to blame one side or the other. And in a way, it's both. The Palestinians got screwed originally, and the Israelis got screwed ever since, because everyone declared war on them again and again and again. And every time the Arabs invaded and tried to wipe out Israel, the Israelis said, okay, we're taking a little more land as a buffer. Well, wouldn't they? Of course they would. Kobayashi Maru. In some ways, the whole conflict is Kobayashi Maru. You're not wrong. That's funny. It very much is in some ways. Yeah. It's just a disaster that you can't win. But at the same time, you don't have a choice but to sort of jump in and do something. It's a mess. It's very sad, and it's a mess. How is the war in Ukraine going? It's still going slowly. I mean, look, today was great. Today was big news. When the Ukrainians got the ATACMS weapons, they did real serious damage to the Russian Air Force. I mean, really bad damage. So that's great. Important for Ukraine, really bad for the Russians. The Ukrainians keep going after the Russians in general. You know, I worry, like everybody else, at the pace of it. Is Ukraine to be able to get a lot of its land back? I don't know. I just don't know. You know, and I worry about it. But I also worry about, you know, how many weapons we're giving them to do it. I just don't know. You know? The official name, there isn't one for this conflict yet. There isn't one. No, I don't think so. I mean, you know, I think people might be saying Israel Gaza, although Israel Hamas might make more sense than Israel Gaza. You know, I mean, you know, it's not okay. Nothing's okay for me about this, but I feel like it is a conflict where you have no choice. Thank you, Jeddah. You know, and things are just going to get worse. No, it sucks. But again, you know, I might be a little more sympathetic to the Israelis. I admit that. But the Palestinians have been screwed for so long that I don't like to see them continually get screwed with this whole thing. And actually, I shouldn't say more sympathetic to the Israelis than the Palestinians. It's not that. But it's all the terrorist attacks and all that BS with Hamas and Hezbollah and Islamic Jihad and everything else. Zero sympathy for those guys. I mean, zero. But then Israel takes them out, and Israel ends up killing civilians, and then Israel gets in trouble, and it's, again, you know. Well, if it's Israel against the Palestinian people, then it's the Palestinian people against Jews. I mean, both sides can play that. I'm sorry, but I think, unfortunately, there are extremists who don't want to. Sorry. Hey, Jay. I don't check Instagram enough. You're having issues connecting Discord. Okay, go to Discord. go to Discord and send us go to the help section. What do we call it? I'm forgetting what we call it. Support section or whatever we call it. I'm going to go look right now and submit a support thing there because it's on Discord itself. We can help you. It's called, hang on. Yeah, it's called support here. It's this thing. So you see welcome support and then request support. And then those are the tickets that we've got. So click the request support button, answer the questions and send it in if you would, Jay. And then Syndicate and I can both help you with that. But we should be able to help you. Typically, I will tell you, typically the problem is on Discord. You've got to go into your settings and in your settings on Discord, connect your YouTube account to Discord. That's often what the problem is. I don't know if you did that yet, but that's often what the problem is. So the Discord is connected to your YouTube and goes, you're a subscriber on YouTube, and then you're set. But so try that first and then submit a ticket because we can always walk you through the settings too. Okay, guys, sorry about that, but somebody's a subscriber and I always like to help those because they're the generous people helping me out. Russia will use a nuke on Ukraine. I don't think so because I just don't think it gets them anywhere. Yasu Yorgo, I don't think it gets them anywhere, you know, and it does all the bad stuff. Russia uses a nuke on Ukraine. It forces America to get involved. I mean, get involved. I think America and NATO, I don't know that we'd go to war, but we'd almost go to war if Russia used nukes in Ukraine. And I think that would just be bad news for Russia if they did. I also think the neighboring countries would absolutely take it as an active war. NATO would certainly take it as an active war because of the radiation. Now the radiation could go into Russia too, which Movie Candy is saying. But I don't see. I see a lot of ways it hurts Russia. It also could make China pissed off at Russia. It could make India, Brazil. And a lot of the military experts will also tell you there's no actual military rationale for why Russia would do it. It doesn't actually help them militarily just to drop some nukes. You know what I mean? It just doesn't. So yeah, I don't think so. Which is why I'm not as worried about it as some people. Yeah. Apparently there's some fake images of fires at the Israeli embassy in Amman. Now, there were protesters there, I read, about 200 that the police were able to stop. But people are sharing fake images and everybody's believing that there's a fire at the Israeli embassy in Jordan. Guys, as I told you, unless you're sticking with mainstream news, I would not believe any of the news you're hearing. I really wouldn't. I really wouldn't. If Iran engages, let's see, Nicola. I mean, the problem with Iran is that Iran's going to engage possibly in a way just like we're talking about the way Russia's going after Estonia and Sweden and Finland. They're doing it in this weird little semi way, right? Where they're kind of blowing up pipelines and things, right? Where it's just not enough to be an active war from Russia, but it's being problematic. In Iran's case, they will use a proxy war. They'll try to get Hezbollah to invade from Lebanon, right? And again, show you on the map. Here's Israel. Gaza's down here, which is the territory that we're all dealing with now, right? Well, Lebanon's up here. Southern Lebanon is controlled by Hezbollah, another basically terrorist group up here. Well, Iran possibly will get Hezbollah to invade here just so that Israeli now has a front up here to defend, or Israel, and a front down here to defend, which makes it more problematic because they got to split their troops in half. So the concern is that Iran gets Hezbollah to invade in the north. Hezbollah's got a lot of men. Hezbollah's got a lot of weapons, better than the weapons that Hamas has, and that's problematic for Israel. You know, because then you're also talking about the U.S. possibly having to get more involved, at least as far as rockets and missiles and things like that we've got, cruise missiles, et cetera, to help the Ukrainians, the Israelis. So. But that does have people concerned about Iran possibly entering, and that I don't think Iran's going to enter itself shooting missiles or whatever. I don't think so. Didn't hear anything about a train derailment in Colorado. Sorry about that. Lima Mike, I don't remember if I thanked you because I don't remember seeing this, but thank you for the super sticker. What else we got, guys? What else? Don't know about Spain. Lebanon's government, yeah. Not in southern Lebanon, they don't. Yeah, unfortunately, southern Lebanon is run by Hezbollah, this kind of quasi-terrorist group. It's sad, but yeah. It's the, Lebanon. I mean, Lebanon's its own study. Lebanon, very sad. Apparently, I almost went years ago with the U.S. government on a training thing I was going to do, and then it got derailed. But apparently, an amazing country that has just had really bad governments, and Iran and Syria screwing around left and right with it. So but apparently, I mean, just amazing country, apparently. I mean, a lot of countries are amazing, but Lebanon was supposed to be really something special. And Beirut, and they just destroyed it. Really sad, really sad. So what do you do? Well, here's the problem. I mean, somebody's saying if Israel did the hospital. The problem is we don't know that Israel blew up the hospital because it looks like it might have been Islamic Jihad. That's the first problem, okay? Second problem, and this is something I see a lot with this issue, and somebody wrote about this the other day, but they're absolutely right about this, is I don't quite understand why it is that with this issue in particular, actually my mic isn't working today, is it? I noticed somebody complaining about my mic. I don't think my mic, let me refresh the page for you guys. For you guys, my mic is working. Hold on. All right, boom. Microphone, audio, no. Yeah, there's something wrong with, anyway, as long as you guys can hear me, but it's not showing my mic on there. There is a weird issue, and I will say this too, and this is with this conflict, but I think it's in general. I think there's some people out there who don't understand the difference between intentionally trying to kill civilians and accidentally killing civilians. And there's a big difference in the law, there's a big difference in morality, and there's a big difference in war in doing it. You are supposed to minimize civilian casualties. That does not mean when you fight war, civilians will not die. It also does not mean that when civilians die, you're necessarily that it's a war crime. It's not a war crime when civilians die. It's a war crime when you intentionally try to kill civilians, then it's a war crime. Russia in Ukraine. Russia has been intentionally targeting civilians. It's one of the things the Russians do, unfortunately, and we've known this for years. The Russians like to kill civilians because they think if they kill civilians, it puts pressure on the government, it breaks the national will, etc. If you are intentionally killing civilians, that is a war crime, absolutely positively. Whether it's Russia, whether it's Israel, whether it's Hamas, anybody, okay? It is not necessarily a war crime if civilians die in your attack. And what always happens with Israel, I find especially, Israel will always get blamed for civilians dying, and it will be compared to terrorist attacks. And unless it was intentional, and again, you may have examples of intentionality, and that's fine. But like this hospital thing, I got news for you. If Hamas didn't intend to kill this hospital, it's not a war crime for Hamas either, if they didn't intend to kill the hospital. If if Islamic Jihad shot a missile and the missile screwed up and basically took off and misfired and hit the hospital, it's not a war crime, guys. It's not. And I'm talking for Islamic Jihad, who are the nastiest terrorists on the planet. It's still not a war crime if they didn't intend to hit the hospital. Okay? That's the problem. But the problem is, I think a lot of people out there, they don't understand or they don't want to understand, and they like to conflate you accidentally killed civilians with you intentionally killed civilians. It's not the same thing, and it isn't even morally the same thing. And unfortunately, that's what people want to do. But as I said, especially with this one, if Islamic Jihad is to blame, and it's because the rocket misfired, they're not really to blame either. It's certainly not a war crime if that's the case. So, well, okay, but here's the problem. I'm sorry, but some of you guys just aren't being genuine about this. It is a war crime if it's intentional. It's not a war crime if it's not. So there we go. Thank you, Dawn. All right, what else we got, guys? Do I think Pakistan will be able to get into other countries to get out of harm's way? I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about with Pakistan? I'm not sure what that's about. I'm not sure what that's about. Swan, I don't think they care is the point, Swan. I think maybe they know, but what else, guys? What else? We're going to see, Kilo. I mean, some of the folks that I was reading, I haven't seen anything in the last hour because I've been on with you guys, but it was not clear who did that strike. and it still was looking like it might have been Islamic Jihad. We don't know. We don't know. But like I said, I've got some very good, smart people I follow who are very independent on this stuff. Oops, just going to look here. I don't think anybody, I'm just looking to see if there's any further evidence regarding the hospital. Let me see really quick. And these are not new glasses. These are my old glasses that I got in France years ago from a drugstore, because of course in France, these are reading glasses. The reading glasses in drugstores are cool as hell, of course, because it's France, and they cost, $10 or something. It was ridiculously cheap. So I take care of these things because I love them. My cheap little French reading glasses. Not seeing anything. I'm not seeing anything right now about anything new about the hospital. Yeah, nothing yet. Nothing yet. Yeah. Let me see here. Yeah. Nope, there's nothing here. There's nothing here. Well, that's interesting. That's interesting. The Economist defense editor says American satellites should have seen a large rocket launch if that is what caused the strike on or near the hospital. Now, thank you, Michael. Which is a good point as far as saying, yeah, no, I think the truth is going to come out about this, because I think the satellites will be able to do it, to see what happened. But anybody who's jumping to conclusions about who did it is lying. That's just the truth. And as I said, folks who have watched my Ukraine show, thank you, Angel Wing. Folks who have watched my Ukraine show know I'm a big believer in facts, and I'm not a big fan of conspiracy theories. So you're not going to get much sympathy from me just because you hate somebody. Yeah. 1 second here. Hold on a second. What is this? What? Yeah. Anyway, so I'm trying to see, but I'm still not seeing anything about the hospital. Yeah, it's just, there's nothing. I don't think there's anything new, or everyone would be talking about it. No, there's nothing new. There's nothing new. No. Okay. Anyway, what else we got, guys? Anything? Anything or no? Warhead was big, not a bomb. Was still under power, so not a rocket, not a bomb. No aircraft noise. Don't know. Oh, Palestine. Okay, I was wondering if you were talking about Pakistan. Okay, wait, but now I'm trying to go back. Oh, do I think Palestine will be able to get into other countries? Do I think Palestinians? Oh, that was wishful thinking's question. Do I think Palestinians will be able to get into other countries to get out of harm's way? No, because the Egyptians and the Jordanians have already said no. By the way, this is a whole other topic that you won't hear a word about from Israel's attackers or Israel's detractors. They never mention, like right now, if you care about the Palestinians, you should be livid at Egypt and livid at Jordan, because both countries came out in the last couple of days and said, Sean King. Sean King. I couldn't care less what Sean King has to say. He's awful. But both countries, Egypt and Jordan, came out and said they will not allow Palestinian refugees to come in. They don't want them. And a European posted yesterday and said, Europe takes in everybody out of this sense of need or guilt or whatever it is. That Europe, think about it, the number of refugees Europe has taken in from the Middle East, okay? Think about it, okay? I mean, Sweden, when I was in Sweden back in 2010, 15% of the population, I believe, was Iraqi at this point because of all the Iraqi refugees that come, okay? They let so many people into Europe, and Jordan and Egypt can't let Palestinians in. And this is what I'm saying. Like, this is an ongoing, right? Look at the Ukrainian refugees. Look at it. Look at the Ukrainian refugees that they've let in to Germany, to Poland, and elsewhere. But this is something that just drives me crazy, because if you really cared about the Palestinians, and this wasn't simply an issue of hating Israel or hating Jews, you'd at least occasionally get pissed off at Egypt and Jordan. And frankly, right now it's necessary. Right now, you would literally scream and yell, thank you, Michael, at Egypt and Jordan. Egypt, you'd say, open the damn border now. Because by the way, guess who else is blockading Gaza? Egypt. Egypt's doing it too. Thank you, Super Hornet. The Israelis have created a prison and Egypt has created a prison. Neither country will let people out of there, and they have for years. Egypt. But you didn't hear that. You only hear about Israeli doing it, but Israel, okay? And I'll bet most of you didn't even hear this about Jordan. Google it, you'll see what I mean. The king said in Jordan, we're not letting in any Palestinian refugees. Why not? 30% of Jordan are Palestinian refugees. Correct. Going back to the original time, yeah. But that would be more of an that would be more of a justification. If 30% of Jordan are Palestinian anyway, then what's the problem, right? But that's my point with this is I think the partisans, God knows there's partisans on the Israeli right. I think Netanyahu's one of them. I think a lot of the far right Orthodox crazies are part of the problem too. The settlers are part of the problem. None of these guys want peace. And I think on the Palestinian side, you've got far too many of their defenders who are the same thing. They don't want peace. They just want to hate Israel. But when it comes to actually trying to help the Palestinians, they don't want to do it. The only way they want to help the Palestinians is, terrorism. They're supporting the terrorism. But it just pisses me off. It really pisses me off. No, I think most Israelis want it, but I think unfortunately your government doesn't. Netanyahu doesn't, and the settlers certainly don't. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Well, you know what? If you were serious about it, whoever's writing there about helping the Palestinians, then go out and raise hell about Jordan and Israel and Egypt. Go and do it to try to help the Palestinians. And you know what the other thing too is? Why don't you do something about Hamas too? Okay? Why don't you get the other Arab countries together and do something about Hamas? Because the Iranians have been supporting them forever, and the rest of you have been looking the other way. Do something about it if you care about these people. But you let a terrorist group terrorize these people. Again, you're the ones who say that even though 50% of Palestinians support Hamas, but whatever. Let's pretend that they have no say. I mean, they don't have any say because there's no elections. Thank you, Jeremy. But Hamas runs the territory. If they're being ruled by terrorists who don't represent them, then go in and freaking help them. It's not like you people are living in a bunch of democracies anyway. Even if you were a democracy, you should go in and help, right? But I'm quite serious. And again, I will fault Israel. Again, Netanyahu, I can't stand Netanyahu. I think he's a warmonger. I think the man just wants war. I really do. I'm happy to say it. I don't like the guy. But on the other side, please care about the Palestinians. You don't care about the Palestinians. You care about hating Israel. You care about hating Jews. You don't care about the Palestinians. I really do. I think it's about hating Israel. Or if it's not, then think about it and do something about it. Netanyahu is garbage. I told you. I think so. I'm sure he's a nice guy. I met Newt Gingrich. Newt Gingrich was one of the nicest people I ever met in my life. If at least you're on the left in politics, you'll know who I mean. I mean, a lot of people who aren't nice are nice. But I don't think people want to solve this problem. I do. I think it's BS. Israel should just let the Palestinians in as one country. Well, that's going to happen, right? But that's one big proposal. Israel should just leave the occupied, whatever they are. They're not really occupied, but just leave these guys free. Yeah, Gaza should just be left alone. It's run by terrorists who are killing Israelis, but let's just have that on Israel's border and just go, it's okay. It's okay. We're going to open the border with a terrorist state. Okay. Seriously? That's your solution? No, it frustrates me. I haven't had to deal with this issue in so long because I just don't touch this issue for this reason, because I just think it's so nasty. And everybody's so nasty on it. Not everybody, of course. A lot of you guys are fine. But you know what I mean? It's just such a nasty issue, And people don't care. I really do. I think people don't care. I mean, I've been in politics forever. I don't have a lot of respect. I've been very much wanted to go to Israel, have never gone. And I've been, like I said, I was going to go to Lebanon. That trip got killed. I've not been to the Middle East. I've been wanting to. I've been to, like Morocco. It's not exactly close. So an Arab country, but not well, if you consider the Moroccans Arabs, I guess that's a question too. Middle Eastern, if you consider them the Middle East, you know what I mean. But I've not been to the Middle East itself. No, I'd love to. Well, I don't know if I want to go to Israel right now, to be honest, but I very much wanted to go to Israel for a very long time. But I also wanted to go to, I've not been to Jordan. Going to Petra, my God, Petra's always up on the list. So I almost went to Lebanon, to Beirut back in 2000, and the trip got canceled because politically some bad stuff was happening, and then that was the end of that. And I would have loved Egypt, another dream, of course, because I love archaeology, love Egypt. I didn't talk today about sorry, someone was mentioning the Palestinian American kid who was killed in Chicago. I talked about it yesterday when it happened. Horrible story. 6-year-old boy, Palestinian American, killed by his 72-year-old landlord, or sorry, his mother's landlord, who attacks the mother and the son with a knife, stabs the 6-year-old boy 26 times, attacks the mom, I think stabs her maybe 21 times. The mom survives, the boy died. It looks like I haven't looked at it today, but what I read yesterday, the man was talking about Muslims and what you're doing over there. And it sounded like he was linking it to, what's going on in Gaza and Israel. Also, the prosecutor said last night that he has a history of watching conservative talk radio, or conservative radio, or conservative talk radio, or something. And that might have been, it was the Jihad Day thing. I think, that was actually, Jenny, that's what I read. Yeah, that he was worried and upset about Friday being the day of resistance, or whatever the hell it was that Hamas was calling for. Crazy story. Horrible story, horrific. But I was telling people, we're a violent country, but we don't get stuff like that. We get school shootings. We get like people going after institutions and things. Schools, but like just a landlord killing somebody in his building even for our country, that's like especially messed up for here. Really, really just horrific. Well, we'll see what he gets. It's too early for everything. He's not going to go to trial for a while. Thank you, Fred. They've still got to investigate and see exactly why he did it. You know what I mean? Like these alleged statements, interview him, blah, blah, blah. But it'll be a hate crime for sure. It'll be a long time in jail. Death penalty. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets death penalty. He was white. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a death penalty case, because killing a 6-year-old child, in this, again, this country, we have the death penalty. That's the kind of stuff you'd get it for, and having it be a hate crime, even more so. So very screwed up. Anyway, I know. Sorry, people want to talk about the hospital again. We talked about the hospital earlier. The thing is, we don't know yet. I'm sorry, we don't know yet who did it, frankly. Israel says it was Islamic Jihad. Hamas says it was Israel, but Hamas lies. But Israel, who knows? So we don't know. We don't know yet, actually. Callum was asking, do you get a longer prison term for a hate crime? Yes, you do. The federal hate crime statute was passed actually a long time ago. Several years ago, friends of mine were able to add other categories to it, like gender, sexual orientation, and something else. But basically, if you murder somebody or commit a felony, assault, murder, based on gender, religion, national origin, disability, I believe, sexual orientation, I believe, race, I think those are the 6 categories. I think those are the categories. You will get an enhanced sentence. In other words, I didn't just kill you and you happen to be black, but I wanted to go out and kill a black person, right? Because it's a crime. Some people don't believe. I believe in hate crime. Some people don't. But I think it's a crime of a different level when you target someone because they're from a specific group of people. A group of people that, in essence, is a minority in my country because you're black or something like that, right? Or Jewish or whatever. So yes, the penalty will be greater. It'll be more years. Now, he could be up for death penalty anyway for murder. I don't quite know how they decide that, but certainly the sentence would be enhanced. Yeah. Killing because he stole your plane, you have to be a member of a protected class. So it has to be one of the classes I mentioned, based on your race, your religion, your national origin, your sexual orientation, your gender, that kind of stuff. No death penalty in Illinois? I didn't remember that. Is that true? I forgot. Is that one of the states that kind of froze it or whatever? Joshua, is that true? I didn't know that. Yeah, but even for federal crimes, this is a federal crime. Interesting. Okay. That's what I mean. Hate crimes are federal, though. That's what I was going to say. I would think the death penalty would apply for that reason. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, we've talked about the hospital a lot. Bottom line was with the hospital is we need to get all the facts, guys. We don't yet know. And we really don't yet know. There are videos out there that suggest it was Islamic Jihad. We don't know. Another terrorist group operating in Gaza. And by the way, not that they shot the hospital, but that the story, if it's true, is that Islamic Jihad shot off a rocket and the rocket misfired and came straight down and it bombed the hospital. Now, might be true, might not be true. But from the videos some people I trust online have been seeing, who are independent guys that basically analyze Ukraine, among other stuff, they're not in this conflict at all. They've seen some videos that suggest that may actually be what happened. But do not believe anybody who tells you, like right now on TikTok, that they know, because they don't know. Yeah, you know it's Israel. Sure you do. How many fingers am I holding behind my back? You should be very rich if you know it's Israel, because you have psychic powers that could make you a lot of money. You know? No, we've got to wait and see who it is. But I will tell you, if it's not Israel, a lot of people better be willing to eat crow tomorrow if it's not Israel. If it is Israel, then we need to know what happened. But I've said this before. If it wasn't intentional, if Israel or Islamic Jihad hit the hospital by accident, it ain't a war crime, people. I'm telling you now, it's not a war crime if it's an accident. So, and it's not genocide if it's an accident. It's not. It's not. And again, not just Israel, even for Islamic Jihad, it's not. I'm a lawyer. I'm telling you, it's not a war crime and it's not a genocide if it's an accident. Yeah. Not to mention, I'm sorry, but seriously, I'm sorry, but guys, this is just silly season 2, you know, but in any case, but also, you know, Israel's going to blow up a hospital, maybe, but I doubt it. But it doesn't matter. If it's an accident, it's not a crime. If it's an accident, it's just not. So anyway, but this is something I think a lot of folks don't realize. What if Islamic Jihad did it on purpose? Yes, because then they are intentionally targeting civilians, just like Russia and Ukraine. If you intentionally target civilians, it's a crime. Yes, it's a war crime. But if it's an accident, it's not, right? You shoot off a missile and your missile goes, whoa, and comes back down. It's not. It's an act of, it's what happens in war, you know? It's just, and as I'm saying, I'm not just talking Israel. I'm hoping none of us here are fans of Islamic Jihad, which is a horrible terrorist group. Even if they did it, if it was an accident, it's not a war crime. It's not. So, you know, anyway. All right, guys. I think we've done enough of this. I'm not going to go to Discord tonight. We did Discord last night for a while. So skip it tonight. We'll try to do Discord tomorrow. I'll do a quick summary of the news. And but do check out the auction items, discord.erevosis.com. Like we said, we've got a lot of very cool auction items for you guys. Actually, another one to show you, which I do like this one. This is it's a little bit of a 3D fridge magnet of the Ukrainian tractor pulling the tanks. Remember at the beginning of the war, the Ukrainian tractors were basically pulling all the Russian tanks and reusing them for the Ukrainian military, which is great. But fridge magnet, but it's very nice. It's still in plastic and it's reflecting a bit much, but it's a little bit darker than it looks on the screen. But lots of kind of fun things, so go check it out. Yep, attackums were used today. I'll let you do a quick summary. So Israel, Gaza hospital was attacked. We don't know who, and we don't know what yet. Mark my words. Wait and see who did it first. Biden is coming to the Middle East tomorrow. He's going to be meeting with Netanyahu. Unfortunately, the Palestinian president canceled because of this hospital bombing, and now the King of Jordan just canceled all the meetings. So it looks like Biden is only going to be meeting with the Israelis, which is really dumb of the Arabs to do and dumb of the Palestinians to do, because I got news for you. Who's got bigger weapons and more weapons? Israel does, you know? It behooves these guys to sit down with Biden and try to figure out what they can do. If you don't, then you're just asking for Israel to blow things up. And I think that's a stupid shoot yourself in the foot kind of plan, but what do you do? Hezbollah is announced tomorrow as a day of unprecedented anger. I just thought that was kind of an odd phrasing. A gunman suspected of killing 2 Swedish nationals in a terrorist attack in Brussels yesterday died as a result of gunshot wounds, so they did end up getting him. Ukraine, it's day 601 of Putin's 3-day special military operation. ATACMS arrived in Ukraine. They were used by the Ukrainians overnight to attack at least two Russian military bases in Luhansk in the east, and then sort of southeast in Berdyansk. They blew up, God, I don't even have it in front of me, I think 9 helicopters, other aircraft equipment, infrastructure, ammunition, and dozens of Russian soldiers were hurt or killed. So this was a big deal. The Abrams tanks, all the American Abrams tanks have now arrived, 31 of them. That is excellent news. Someone, we think the Russians, damaged a data cable between Sweden and Estonia. This comes on the heels last Friday of a gas pipeline between Finland and Estonia also being damaged. Russia sort of borders right there. But again, I will say the same thing I say about the hospital. We don't know yet. It certainly looks like the Russians. I think we've got about a 90-95% chance it's Russians. But is there a 5% chance it's not? Yeah, but it's a pretty slim chance. Lithuania announced it will be repairing Leopard tanks damaged in Ukraine. Russia is officially revoking its ratification of the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. European Parliament will vote to support $53 billion financing package for Ukraine's recovery. And Putin is in Beijing meeting with the Chinese leader. And Orban, of course, from Hungary, who is a big Putin suck-up, is there telling Putin about how sad it is. He wants the sanctions to end on Russia and the war to end and blah, 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 because he's a big Putin kiss-ass. So, Velika, thank you. Dziękuję. I was going to say spasiba. I'm thinking Putin, dziękuję. Thank you, guys. All right, that's it for tonight. I am going to go. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for coming. Thank you for the spirited discussion, as always. We'll talk tomorrow, okay? And yeah, I'll skip Discord tonight, just like I said. It's already 7:30, and we did last night till 8 o'clock. So thank you for that. And what did Russia do to Finland? We think Russia attacked a natural gas pipeline connecting Finland to Estonia at the end of last week. Don't know for a fact. Looks like it was Russia. And now that a data line connected, thank you for the gift there, Sarah, a data line connecting Estonia to Sweden, it's feeling a lot like Russia. Yeah, not Israel, no. I know, let's blame Canada. It'll be like, remember, what was the movie? No, actually Blame Canada was from, that was from South Park. I was thinking of America yeah, this was from South Park. Blame Canada. Exactly, South Park. Damn Canadians. All right, guys. All right, I'm going to go. Let's talk tomorrow. We will have even more fun-spirited discussions tomorrow. I can hardly wait. My favorite topic. Thank you, B. Smith. Boy, it's a different crowd. You know, it really is a different crowd when we talk Ukraine. It's kind of interesting, you know. But anyway, you did miss the recap. I just finished the recap, Malavre. All right, guys. Have a good night. Thank you for joining us all. Sorry for the regulars. I know this gets kind of more spirited, but I do think it's an important topic, and I think it's important to get into. And frankly, you know, as time goes on, we're going to have to find more issues to discuss anyway. I mean, eventually, we hope Ukraine wins the war, and the topic goes away anyway, right? Another topic I was telling the mods this the other day. Another topic we got to figure out is the election. You know, how do I not cover the American election for the next year, right? But that's another one that's going to be polemical if I cover it. So think about it. But I think, you know, branching out into some of these topics is important, you know. But, you know, let's see. All right, guys. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for coming. Bye-bye. Yeah, we'll talk about the election again. I think I'm going to cover the election anyway. It'll piss some people off, but what do you do? How do you not? You know? And the Israeli topic is going to be for a while, you know. That's fine. Again, I feel sorry for the mods, because I know for the mods it's been crazy. I don't mind it, but for the mods, I know you're having living hell on TikTok. But again, I also don't mind to some degree. You know, get the crazies if you can, but otherwise, you know, you know, we'll see. I can always get you more mods too. Let me know if there's more mods that you guys recommend too. You know, we can do that as well, Ash and others. All right. You know, people that you know and trust, though, obviously, you know. All right. Have a good night, guys. I'm going to go. All right. See y'all. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.